grab some bread with Carl.
Okay.
Yes, loud duck, I hear you. I've been very squawking yesterday. I think I see a Carl over there.
Come here. Come here, Pekins.
Yeah. Come on, Becky. Come on, Sarah. I'm gonna get Carl over here, too. Carla, come here.
Masks is first. Masks beat internet today.
Wow.
Masks says
Internet
quack.
second.
Yeah, we're quacking here out of the gate. Internet, your streak is broken. I'm glad you're here, though. Hey, Quiet Castle. How's it going? We got ducks right out of the gate. A lot of them, being very noisy. Oh, it smells weird over here. I don't know what went down over here, but it smells very weird.
You want to go over to the normal?
Is the ground dry?
I don't know, because Carla's here.
Yeah, Carla's here. Well,
She looks like she's ready for some. She's ready for bread.
Okay, Masks says God bless America. Okay. Thanks, guys, for joining us here out of the gate and for giving us 3 likes right out of the chute here. Did we get our normal couple dislikes right out of the right at the start here, or are we doing better today? Oh, we've got this big mallard over here too.
I really like how she washes her bread.
Yeah, Carla likes to drink while she eats.
That's actually the technique of eat or whatever people eat.
Yeah, the speed eaters. Like what's the famous Japanese one? Kobayashi.
Is that what his name?
Kobayashi, I think, is the famous Japanese speed eater. There's now 1 dislike.
Probably a goose.
Yeah, maybe the geese are coming to sabotage our dislikes. So yeah, I think Kobayashi is the Japanese speed eater.
The guy who can like fold a pizza and eat it in 10 seconds.
Yeah, he can do like 100 hot dogs in 10 minutes. It seems. Or Joey Chestnut's internet is a living king of competitive eating.
He was also on the Amazing. Wait, was it? I think it was the Amazing Race or something. I watched that season of him. But...
Is that how they discovered him, or he's on it after he was?
No, he's on it after he was known for being a competitive eater.
Some of these ducks, I think, could give any competitive eater a run for their money.
True. I actually used to love watching those competitive eating videos.
Do they still have those on? I know they have them, but
they have them on YouTube.
YouTube, yeah. Okay.
It's amazing how much these guys can put into their bodies.
Yeah. I was once read a story about a woman who ate 11 pounds of cheesecake in 10 minutes.
Wow.
And even, as bad as the hot dogs are, that seems like cheesecake just seems, oh my God, it's really hard to eat a lot of.
You know what I could eat? I've always wanted to do a wing eating competition.
A wing eating competition?
Yeah. I think I can eat an inordinate amount of them.
What is the most food in a particular amount of time anybody on the stream has eaten?
Has anyone competed, or I guess like timed how fast they've eaten something?
We used to have a chicken wing eating contest in my high school, and there was a guy there that he did like 70 wings in like 7 minutes, and he was like a really skinny guy.
I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never. Being like really overly full is like one of the worst feelings out there. But yeah, let me know. What do you guys like? What do you guys binge eaten on the stream? Ice cream's a pretty easy one, probably. I think in the right mood, I could just eat a whole half gallon of ice cream.
Or what about chips? Like a whole bag.
A whole bag of chips, yeah. A thing of Pringles.
You can just mindlessly eat that.
Yeah, you can mindlessly eat a lot of things.
And all of a sudden, you're a full bag in.
Yeah. So, Mask says, God bless America. It says Donald Trump is going to win. Joey Chestnut is the king of competitive eating, says Internet.
He's impressive.
So Quiet says that that's a lot of cheesecake, way too sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do have our second dislike right out of the gate here. We get 2 dislikes right out of the gate every day, apparently. I don't know who's doing it or why.
Do you think it's the same people coming back?
I
disliking?
suspect it probably is. And if any of the people who dislike us every day right out of the gate are on, I'd love to know why. What we have done to defend your life.
It also takes a lot of effort to come dislike it every day.
It does take effort, yeah. Internet thinks putting Trump in our thumbnail description keeps our views down. I don't think that's true. I think Trump still gets a lot of energy and attention. So as you guys can see, we've nominated Quiet Castle to be our stream moderator, at least for the time being. He has volunteered, and not that that gets out of order or anything, but just to kind of keep peace sometimes. Big news in Ohio today. The Big Ten football conference has finally decided that they're going to play football this year after having canceled their football season due to COVID. They finally have come around and decided they do want to play football this season, and have, I guess, committed to launching the season on October 24th. They delayed the decision just long enough to keep the 2 best players on the to make the 2 best players on the team declare for the NFL draft just a couple days ago. So now they're going to go through a bunch of hand-wringing about whether they can come back. But big excitement here. That means we can actually probably stream in the vicinity of the stadium some of these days.
Wait, who declared for the draft?
Wyatt Davis and Sean Wade to the Wyatt Davis offensive line and Sean Wade's defensive back. Richard Menard. Hey, Richard Menard. Richard Menard is hooked on quack.
Ooh.
Good one.
We have a lot of quack on our stream.
There's a fair amount of quack out there. There's a lot of quack going on right now. You've been waiting patiently, so here's some bread for you.
The giant mouth.
We got a giant mallard. Some of these, I don't know how they get their different sizes. We've got the pecans that are large, but then we got this really big mallard. Mallards are not usually this big.
Look how green his head is.
Very green-headed mallard, yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, usually not many of them have had green heads for the last part of the summer. Usually when they get the green heads, it means they're ready to mate. And there usually is a mating season that happens in September. So the fact they're starting to get the green heads again means they're probably ready to get back into the mating mix.
Do you think these giant mallards mate with the tiny ones?
I don't know. The giant mallards probably do mate with probably all of them. Probably whoever they want to. Duck intercourse seems very not friendly.
Animal intercourse just does not seem very friendly.
Yeah, animal intercourse is not great. Duck intercourse seems especially brutal sometimes. Oh, hey, Carla.
She's just out here to clap with
Do you want to come and visit us? Here you go. The mallard is patiently waiting nice and quietly for bread.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mallard is waiting quietly. Carla is not so patient.
No.
Internet says we are animals.
We are animals.
I suppose we are.
I'm just gonna watch.
Okay. Carla's definitely biting hard today.
She's very
Jeez,
hungry.
you are very... Why are you so hungry today? Like the last time we were here, you weren't hungry at all.
You ignored us.
You ignored us. And then the days when you're hungry... Oh, then we got turkey duck back here. With the goggles. Hey, Carla. How's it going?
Hey, Carla.
You are just destroying my fingers right now.
I'm worried about when I take this out.
Turducken for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Ow.
Ow.
I've never had turducken. I don't know why turducken is a thing. Turducken is What is that? What is turducken?
It's a chicken inside of a duck inside of a turkey.
Chicken inside of a duck inside of a
Yeah.
turkey. Why? I don't. Okay, deboned chicken stuffed into a deboned duck, further stuffed into a deboned turkey.
It's really sad that
Okay.
I don't have shorts on, so I can't. Oh, watch out!
Oh Jesus! Get it! Carla took a giant piece of bread from us. Yikes, Carla, you're stealing from us.
She was looking at it. I was
Okay, the internet said. Okay, I don't know, internet. I don't know the answer to that. Mask says Martha McCallum is part of what is wrong with you. What are your feelings about Martha McCallum? Masks. She's the. What is she? She does like the 7 o'clock. Is she the one that does the 7 o'clock hour on Fox? Christopher says, Highland weather alert for you. Fall-like weather headed your way. Low temps might well down in the 40s, maybe the 30s.
we feel some of that.
That's not fall weather. That's winter weather. Yeah, that's. I'm not ready for that quite yet. This 60-degree stuff is bad enough right now. Christopher, how's the hurricane coming? How is Hurricane Sally? I didn't even see the news about Hurricane Sally. We'll be arriving next couple hours. Okay. Interesting. Did we figure out which communities are the most susceptible to Hurricane Sally? I think last night we decided New Orleans was going to get spared, but actually it's going to be Alabama and Mississippi that were going to get hit, like maybe Biloxi was going to get hit or something. You going to do some shoe bread, Carla? You're always a fan of shoe bread.
The feather.
Yeah, the feather duck's back.
You want some foot bread? You know, shoe bread, or you can have direct foot bread.
Let's see. Chris says, well, Columbus has been as cold as -22 in the winter. Yeah, I've been through some really, really cold days here. I remember going to I went to a football game as a kid once that was wind chill of -32, which was pretty brutal, being outdoors all day for that. It's like 9 pairs of pants. People were in the restroom, like clustered under the hand dryer, just using that for warmth. And they still had the vendors coming around selling ice cold beer.
Why not?
Like, wouldn't you think you would change your branding tactic?
Do you think you would really want warm beer?
I think I'd want like hot chocolate or coffee or something.
Sure. Spiked hot chocolate. Get the spiked hot chocolate.
But yeah, Columbus gets very cold. Worst of the hurricane was in coastal Alabama, parts of Mississippi, and the panhandle of Florida. When you say it was internet, or is it? Is that a present tense or a future tense? Or a past tense? This is what is left of Sally will move through the southeast and deliver tons of rain. I'm expecting multiple inches in my part of North Carolina. North Carolina often gets that sort of after effect of hurricanes, where they get lots and lots of rain. I was supposed to go to, I don't know, Winston-Salem a couple years ago, and that got canceled because North Carolina was getting that just unbelievably torrential rain that creates all that flash flooding. I think that was probably right around this time of year. Usually like that first week of October is big for that kind of stuff. So we had the first poll today in a long time. The first mainstream poll that showed Trump actually ahead by 1 point in the Rasmussen poll. It's a significant outlier of a poll. Most of the others have him continuing to be behind by quite a bit, but there was one reputable poll now that actually shows him ahead by 1 point. His average polling deficit continues to be around 6 points. Then it says the record low temperature in my area was -5 degrees in January 1985, froze the engine block off my Toyota Corolla. Boy, internet, have you always lived in the South? That seems like that was like a regular winter day in Chicago. -5. In fact, that's like a summer day in Chicago. Quiet, that's a nationwide poll. That was the first general election poll, I believe, since February that actually showed Trump ahead. That was like a reputable poll. It's Rasmussen who tends to lean a little bit right. But it was interesting. So Juan says, where are the protests? There are only ducks. Hey Juan, good to see you. We do a mix of things here. We do, some days we do ducks, some days we do protests, and some days we kind of combine the two. When there's a lot of protest activity going on, we'll show you protests, and when there's not, we'll show you ducks. Normally we're from Washington, D.C. here. Obviously protest activity is light right now. Right now we're in the Midwest, and the protest activity is really light. So you're getting the kind of duck stream, but we do alternate, and happy to talk about any of that kind of stuff with you. We started this stream back in May. We were live streaming the live protests in DC, which were really, really intense. And we started kind of mixing it up with different things. But we started seeing the ducks, and people seem to find that therapeutic. Oh, you guys are just here to argue? You're not here to eat? Yeah, don't forget to hit like. Thanks. Juan says, are we a conservative or a liberal-based channel? Juan, I mean, we try to stream this as even-handedly as we can. I think depending on the day, we get a different mix of folks, and depending on when we were in Washington and when we're in the Midwest, we get a different mix of folks. I think it has been a mix at times. I assume probably the crowd tonight's going to be a little bit conservative, but we try to be pretty even-handed. So, we're pretty welcoming to everybody, and we try to not censor much. Liquid says, hey, Lan. Hey, Liquid. Good to see you. Thanks for hanging out with us. Good of you to check in on us. I hope all is well. Look, Liquid, we haven't caught up in a while. You pop in and then we don't get to really chat. Liquid used to have Internet's role as the kind of everyday first person on the stream in Washington back in June, and Liquid has kind of hung around with us since then. Liquid is the brainchild behind our Discord, which is linked in the description. Liquid, give me an update on your life. What's going on? Internet says the biggest protests so far tonight are in New York and Chicago. Okay, Internet, what's going down in New York and Chicago that has created, big protest activity tonight? Are they big protests or just sort of moderate things? I mean, most cities are pretty quiet right now. It seems like the whole protest scene has kind of cooled for the moment. Now, today is it says the 16th. So tomorrow will be the first day of the so-called siege on Washington, which has been talked about a lot on the internet. I think I'm a little skeptical about how intense that could end up being. I think the police in Washington have Washington so locked down now that I can't believe that would amount to much of anything. But that does officially start tomorrow. And the idea is that I guess people are going to protest for 50 days until the election. And, there's all this sort of language about trying to rush the White House and stuff like that. I don't think it's going to happen, but we'll have to follow it. Liquid's going to try to stay around a bit more. Awesome. Thanks, Liquid. Yeah, cool. Liquid, Mrs. Land says hi.
Hi, Liquid.
It's been a while, but and it says, did you see the guy in Milwaukee who had the mob come to his house and the police arrested him because he brandished a weapon? I didn't see that. I mean, I know there have been a couple stories of that nationwide. There was obviously the big St. Louis one a few weeks ago. I did not see the Milwaukee case, so that sounds like similar. It's interesting, though. I don't have the details. If you guys want to post the details somewhere, I'm happy to look at them. But, I guess it depends on the jurisdiction and sort of what the rules are. But, people shouldn't be getting prosecuted just for trying to protect themselves, obviously. Look at this. Everything's been good. Just Corona's been messing up things. Really? How so? I hope you didn't get sick, Liquid. Actually, we've probably been in a while taken. Wow, that is a lot of ducks. They came out of nowhere there. And now there's, we'll see if they come toward us. How many people on the stream know somebody that's had COVID? I'm curious about that. I've now known a few people. Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many did you say?
Closely, just one.
Just one. Okay. I think there are a few. We've had sort of on the older side. They've had a few impacts from it, or a few bad experiences from it. Liquid's from New Jersey. Liquid was one of our originals and has been a great advocate of us all the way. I think it'd be great. Yeah. Thanks for doing that, Liquid. We got some very noisy ducks over there. We are continuing to sort of tweak the infrastructure of the Discord every day, so we appreciate you guys sort of being patient with that. We're trying to sort of make it the best fit for all the different viewpoints and things people want to talk about over there, without being too censorious, but also keep it appropriate. So we're continuing to sort of make some modifications there day by day. I know things may look a little bit different day on day. But, as we've grown... Oh, there's a big duck fight here. Who is that? Is that Becky or Sarah?
Becky.
Look at that. Oh my goodness.
Becky, come on.
What is going on there? Oh, see, now that duck might have a feather loose. The poor duck. Carla.
Setting Carla.
Hey, Grimshaw. Fuck a duck. I don't know if you think that was courting? Or was that courting or just fighting?
Courting? Is Becky not...
I don't know what the genders of Becky and Sarah are.
You think Becky's a male?
I don't know. We looked up how to tell the difference between the genders and the ducks, and I still really can't tell at all.
I can't either.
We know that the women, the girl ducks, the women, the women ducks are the most vocal. So we think Carla might be, might tell us something about Carla here, who tends to be. See, you're being very vocal.
That one's definitely female.
Grimshaw says female. What about female Grimshaw?
I like how she on her chin goes on your hand.
Yeah, she's see, she's sneaky. I put the little piece in my fingers and then the big piece in my hand, and she still goes for the big piece. Okay, here we go. You're so soft.
Right?
Female's the word we're looking for. Hey, Grimshaw, what's up? What's up? I feel like we haven't seen you much before. How's it going? Welcome. I feel like we have seen you, but just probably not very much. Chris says that duck fight just reminded me of when the police rushed Antifa protesters. No comment, Christopher.
She's going after my foot again.
Uh-oh. Did you put some bread in your toes here?
You want to put some bread on my toes?
There you go. You can get a little... Oh. She's not letting me.
Yeah.
She's not letting me. It's going, says Grimshaw. Well, that's about... I never know how to answer that question.
Hello.
Uh-oh. Carla has discovered the... She's discovered the source of everything.
Oh, she's definitely going for my foot now.
Did she...
She ate the foot
Did she
bread.
get the little foot massage?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Well, she eats my foot, you're gonna have to marry her.
Some bread and a little toe jam? Yeah. I never know how to answer the, how's it going question.
I always say it's going.
What are you supposed to say?
It's going.
How are you? I don't know. Whatever. I am. Yes, a little toe jam. I don't, Oh, Carla. You are very aggressive today, aren't you? Oh, you're so soft.
She's very hungry.
I just petted her head.
Aw.
Now
You scare her off.
No, I hope not. Oh, now she's going to argue with this duck.
I love how their beaks get really close together and
They're
they just talk at each other.
They just argue. When people ask that question, how often do you actually tell them the truth? How often do they actually care? That's right. First of all, how often are you actively thinking about how you are? What am I supposed to say? A scale of 1 to 10? A letter grade?
Yes.
Most of the time it's pretty neutral. I just am. And if I'm not doing well, like I don't really want to tell most people that. I don't think the clerk at the grocery store needs to hear about like all of the stresses at my job, for instance. Carla, you're just biting my finger. You need to actually at least bite the bread.
So she eats you. Does that mean I have to marry her?
Maybe. Yeah, that's the pact we made that if Carla eats Mrs. Land, I have to marry Carla. So, which I guess means if Carla eats me, then Mrs. Land has to marry me. So Grimshaw and Juan, you guys are new. So give me a little bit more background on sort of what brings you to us. Are you guys like looking for protest streams? What are you guys looking for here? We try to do a little bit of everything. Juan says we sound a little bit nerdy. Am I a programmer or something in computers? Interesting. I'll take the nerdy. That's probably true. I think we're all a little bit nerdy. Would you characterize yourself as a non-nerd one? Am I a programmer? Not professionally. I've built websites, but no, I'm not a programmer or anything. Something in computers. Okay. Grim says male mallards have a dark, indecent green head and bright yellow bill. The gray body is sandwiched between a brown breast and black rear. Females and juveniles are mottled brown with orange and brown bills. Both sexes have a white bordered blue speculum patch in the wing. So Grimshaw, my understanding is the green head though is a seasonal thing that sort of comes and goes, and we've watched it come and go on a lot of these ducks based on how how much they're looking to mate, how in heat they are. The gray body sandwiched between a brown breast and black rear. Yeah, then the females are just sort of brown with the little blue patch. Oh, you're back.
Carla.
You're back,
Hi.
Carla.
She started going for my foot again.
Okay, Juan, you looked up protest streams and found this. So Juan, be honest with us. Is this disappointing that you got ducks instead of protests, or are you finding the ducks interesting? I said we do both, but we've got like a mix of people that kind of like, it's sort of it is odd, and it's a little bit of a weird balance. When the protests were really, really raging in Washington, and there was, there were a few days where there's a lot of violence in Washington back at the end of May, and it was very stressful. I live in downtown Washington, so it was very stressful for a while, and we're right on the National Mall, and I went down and spent a few days just sort of hanging out with the ducks on the National Mall instead of going into the sort of the middle of the protests. And actually people seem to really like that, so that's kind of how we ended up with this weird mix of two things that really have nothing to do with each other.
Or maybe they have everything.
Maybe they have everything. Maybe the ducks can teach us a lot about how to interact peacefully, although they haven't really been peaceful today. They've been fighting a lot. And now it sounds like we got geese. Uh-oh, there go geese. Geese are our enemy. So, Juan says, I looked up a duck fact on Google just now for the stream. Ducks, for one, are outliers within the avian population. Unlike 97% of birds, ducks have penises, super long ones. Yeah, ducks. I still can't really figure out how they mate. But well, I guess I know how I mate. That's like I don't know the order in which the egg happens in the do they mate and then there's an egg and then or do they have live births?
No. It's the egg, right? Like it's
so they mate, then they lay an egg, and the egg hatches.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. That's right, because they're duck eggs. Yeah. So but that's different from other birds. Like you're in for a real kind of startling narrative if you look up duck intercourse. Sounds like Juan Pablo did, and has learned what goes on with them. It's interesting. Geese bad, ducks good. That's kind of our rule, more or less. Although we have some goose defenders around. We have some people that are really pro-goose in the mix. Grimshaw says the easiest way to tell if you're pekin duck is male or female is by its quack. Girls have a loud honk, and boys have a quieter quack. Male ducks also have a drake feather, which is curled feather. So we can't really figure out the difference between the drake feather and the non-drake feather. It looks like all three of these pecans have basically the same feather on the back of their body.
They're also loud quackers. I don't know if they're...
You think they're all... I mean, definitely, yeah, we know the loud ones are the females. Like that one, I assume, is female. And then the males are much quieter. Carl's going to chase somebody over there. Yeah, I'd say it's hard. It's very hard to tell the duck genders or the duck sexes apart. Duck says duck penises regrow every mating season. Once the season ends, the penis begins to shrink and regress until it's 10% of its full-grown size. They are stored inside the duck's body, waiting to emerge only during copulation. The duck penis is not straight, but spiral counterclockwise from its base to its tip. The Muscovy duck penis completes 6 to 10 full twists over its 20 centimeter, 7.8 inch length. Thanks for the detail, Pablo. Or Juan Pablo. Sorry, I got your name backwards. Grimshaw says the white ones are American pecans. Yeah. We only got a couple of the white ones. The rest are mallards. Nico says no buffering today. That's good. All right, is anybody else getting buffering? Let us know how the buffering is doing. Yeah, Carl is a salty quacker for sure. We know YouTube has been having some issues with buffering on a lot of its videos, and I know we were wondering if it was our phone or if it was the app or if it was just all YouTube, and it sounded like a number of other videos who were using the app were having it, or were streaming off the app. So if they fixed it, it's good. I wonder if there are other people that are having it though. Let me know if anybody does have buffering today. And nothing we can really do about it, but good for us to continue to monitor. Bob says, wow, we have mods. Just noticed, is that new? Yeah, Bob, so Quiet has become our stream mod. Shouldn't really change anything about the chat quality, but just to kind of, as we grow and formalize here a little bit, we've added that little feature, and Quiet has generously volunteered to do that, and is doing a great job so far. But yeah, Bob, thanks for joining us today. He was talking about, well, Juan was just giving us the background on duck intercourse, and Carl over here is chasing some of the other ducks around, and so yeah, other things we talked about. We're talking about competitive eating. We're talking about the new poll in which there is one poll out of many polls, but one poll out of many that shows Trump actually leading now in the White House race. We're talking a little bit about protests and Chicago and New York, I guess going on as we speak, although otherwise it's kind of light right now. What else are we talking about? Big Ten football is coming back, which is a big deal here in Big Ten country in the Midwest. Grimshaw is sending 4 ducks our way.
Oh, exciting.
That's cool. Well, that's like a whole, almost a duck family. Usually they have like 6 or 7 kids at a time.
Kids.
Ducklings, yeah. You want some bread? I didn't see how they could have college football without the Big Ten. It did seem weird. Big Ten kind of messed up its decision making. I think they maybe jumped the gun a little bit too soon on canceling the season, and now they've kind of rushed back into reinstating the season for the sake of being able to start the season in time to potentially get into the college football playoff. So we'll see how it turns out for them, and if there are teams that end up having to forfeit games because of the virus or quite what. Colin is posting on in his channel. Do you want to go tell Colin to join the stream in his Colin's corner? I don't know if he's here. Colin, I don't know if you're here on the stream or not. Are they allowing fans to attend? I don't believe so, Grimshaw. I know a few of the conferences have had light fans, and I think a few of the NFL games actually have had light fans, or at least will at various points in the season. Like maybe like 20% of the stadium's worth of fans, which is an interesting experiment. I was looking up one game where they had one college football game where they had actually added they let fans into the stadium at a very small number. I guess with the premise that they could still socially distance and be 6 feet apart from each other in that setup. And the photo of the stands basically showed that all people that were there had clustered around the same spot in the stadium with the best views. So all of those intentions to keep people kind of separated, and it turned out like people just clustered the same way they always would, which has been pretty indicative of kind of the same kind of struggles all the universities have been having with people not doing the protocols that they tried to set out. Liquid will be back. Okay, thanks, Liquid. Greg said they shouldn't bring back sports with fans until they quit gouging prices on the food and beverage. I'm with you, Grimshaw. Like, I've seen so much chatter about how to change sports in the last few years, and these sports leagues seem totally tone deaf to the fact that, like, the reason they're losing fans has everything to do with the fact that they've made prices dramatically more expensive in the last decade or two. In fact, we did a whole study on this. Average price of attending a baseball game, if you compare dollar for dollar inflation-adjusted prices from 1990 to the present, is it's literally between 2 and 4 times as expensive to go to a game. It's like really pricing out families, and I think it's a disaster. They really need to fix that before they. I agree with you. Before they bring fans back. Otherwise, I've learned how to live without sports by and large, and I'm not sure I'm going to be going to as many games in the future. Colin, you joined us. Thank you for popping in, Colin. Colin's giving us a carrot. Mrs. Land says hi, Colin. Hope you're doing well. And Colin's in Scotland, where football is something very different. So, Colin, in Scotland, how do you guys distinguish between American football and European football? I give Colin a hard time about soccer sometimes, but how do you guys distinguish between the two? Hey, Carla. Oh, you just took that big piece of bread from me.
She's gonna take whatever you give her.
Yeah. Yeah, and then here are two brethren. I think Colin's a little bit behind on the stream. He just said, "Hey, Mrs. Land." Yeah, Mrs. Land's here, Colin. Don't start with football, man. I'm not starting with you, Colin. I'm just asking. How do they differentiate in the naming? Bob says, blame those prices on those pretentious athletes who demand such ludicrous paychecks. Yeah, I'm a little sick of the pretentious athletes. I mean, all the current sort of rhetorical stuff aside, I'm tired of the athletes, feeling this sort of sense of entitlement to fans' attention and these massive salaries. And I get it's all business, but it's so far removed from any semblance of reality now. Nicholas is here. Hey, Nicholas, how's it going? Thanks for joining us. Good to see you. So, Nicholas, we could definitely use a hurricane update, and I would love some would you rather questions if you got them. So, I don't know if you guys saw, but we uploaded on the stream today, or uploaded on the channel today on YouTube, a tour that I had pre-recorded back in June of the Capitol Hill area of Washington. It's the first in a series of Washington, D.C. tours I'm going to be uploading on the YouTube channel. We just kind of go through all the monuments, memorials, and sort of sites, at least a lot of them that I've recorded over the summer. So I know some of you have told us that kind of seeing some of that DC backdrop is really useful for you know, at least sort of interesting and kind of a nice backdrop to some of the kind of broader political events happening in the world. So check that out. We've got some others. You know, this one was kind of the Capitol building. We got another duck fight going on here. Carla's being a little bully today. Man, she's really... Oh, uh-oh. I think this is, I wonder if this is copulation of some kind. She's really... She or he is really going after it. Nicholas says Hurricane Sally and Hurricane Teddy. So Sally, I guess, is hitting like right now. Is that true? I don't know where Teddy is. Kyle says, what we are, the rest of the world call football. The closest we have to the NFL is rugby. Like Colin, if you say you're going to go watch football, I assume people know what you mean, that you're going to watch the, like, you know, Manchester United or something. If you're going to say American football, do you have to say American football? Yeah, thanks, Colin. Yeah, we put up this tour today. So it's got like the Capitol building. We kind of talk about sort of the setup for the inauguration. We go through kind of the Grant Memorial, the Hayes Memorial, the Taft Memorial, the Supreme Court, the Library of Congress. Just interesting stuff if you're interested in Washington, D.C. By the way, you guys are watching Land Speculation on YouTube. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us. I appreciate the likes and the subscribes on the video. If anybody hasn't done those things yet, and if you don't like us, let us know why. But just a reminder about the Discord link in the description. We do have a Discord associated with the channel. People want to join that, so we encourage that. And we also have a PayPal link that's a duck fund. If people want to kind of donate resources for these obviously very hungry ducks. Nicholas is in Keystone, South Dakota. Okay. Nicholas has been doing a lot of traveling. So what's in Keystone, Nicholas? Why are you in Keystone? I don't really know a whole lot about the towns in South Dakota. It's one of the states I've never been to. One of the fun games is to go and like get an electoral college calculator and see how many electoral college points you could rack up just by selecting the states that you have visited. I think I'm somewhere in like the mid 400s in terms of total electoral college votes. But I could win a landslide, but I couldn't win all the... I've not been to all the states. I think Nicholas has been to all the states, though. Quiet says, Colin, except in the NFL, they are padded up, but rugby is without the pads. Yeah, NFL's a little bit... NFL gets more of the sort of people like launching themselves at each other kind of hits that are more dangerous for... Becky and Sarah are fighting now.
Probably got in the water.
I wonder if this is because it's turning into mating season, that it's, you know, they're getting a little bit more angry at each other.
Why are they pushing on each other unless...
I don't think they're kissing each other. They're fighting.
No, that's a hissing.
Or hissing?
Like, kissing.
I bet there's competition out here.
You think they're both trying to mate with
I don't know who they're all trying to mate with, but maybe Becky and Sarah mate with each other.
They could.
Yeah, okay, thanks, Colin, for the thoughts on the tour. And let us know what else you guys want to see in Washington. I mean, you know, I've got a bunch of these sort of pre-recorded, but we can also, you know, as we are back in Washington here, kind of go back and do some additional ones, in addition to the live streams in place. So Colin just says he's watching the NFL, okay. I guess here we have so many different grades. You know, we have high school football, we have college football, we've got some other different pro leagues. So yeah, thanks, Quiet, for plugging the Duck Fund. Really appreciate the folks that have donated to that to this point. I know you guys do that sort of out of the goodness of your heart because you like the stream. So we do really appreciate that. Nicholas's vacation to Keystone, South Dakota. What's in Keystone, though? Bob says Sally is moving through Alabama, and massive coastal flooding from the panhandle of Florida and west. 530,000 without electric. Wow, okay. So I didn't realize it had nipped Florida. I thought it was just sort of coming up the kind of toward the interior of the Gulf, but I guess that would make sense. It would be bringing rain. That's a lot of people without power, so that's unfortunate. But I guess Alabama sounds like it's getting hit now, which is interesting. Hope those folks are all doing well. Colin says it's true. Let's see, what did Quiet say? Oh yeah, the NFL's all padded up. Yeah, I don't know. Are rugby players tougher? Maybe. I don't know. Those like head first hits you get in the NFL are pretty tough. Okay, Liquid's back. Hey, Liquid. Yeah, it's getting so dark so early now that we get like a good 40 minutes of ducks, and then it really changes quickly. Nicholas wanted to Mount Rushmore. You wanted to go to Mount Rushmore, or you did go to Mount Rushmore? Of all the speeches he's ever given, I thought the speech that Trump gave at Mount Rushmore a number of weeks ago was among his best. Mount Rushmore is sort of it's anticlimactic when you get there. I think that's kind of the general vibe on it, but still very impressive. Almost in Greek letter is the hurricane. Oh, do they do next to go to Greek letter hurricane names? I know they were running out of names for the hurricanes. There have been so many this year. Nicholas keeps retracting messages. Okay. Mount Rushmore Crazy Horse. Okay, Nicholas did go. Okay. Well, how was it, Nicholas? Was that your first time at Mount Rushmore? How was it? Quiet says, I trained in Pensacola for the military. It's getting hit hard now, major flooding. Oh, man, I bet. What's the... Fort Walton Beach. What's the military base there? We were in Destin. There was... I've known a few people who train at Fort Walton Beach. But that's kind of in that same vicinity, I think. But yeah, major flooding down there. I could imagine. Sounds difficult. Oh, second time. So Nicholas, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give Mount Rushmore? In terms of a grade, or maybe do like a letter grade. Uh-oh, we got some more duck fighting over here. It's crazy. 6 out of 10 on Mount Rushmore. That's not a super great grade. That's like a D-.
I don't know if they're fighting or meeting.
I think it's kind of the same thing.
What if we're watching just a bunch of duck sex?
Well, we could be. I don't think it's that quick. 6 out of 10 on Mount Rushmore. It's not a huge endorsement. It's a long travel to get to Mount Rushmore for 6 out of 10. What's the 10? Oh, you give it a 10 out of 10. Okay. Nicholas changed his grade. Well, I don't know. What are people's favorite tourist attractions? Nationally, globally, etc. Nicholas has been to a lot of national parks. I was talking to somebody who was they had made it their life's goal to go to every national park in America. It's was that one of Leslie Knope's things?
Was it?
I can't remember. It sounds like a thing she would do in Parks and Recreation. But I feel like there are a lot of things you could spend your time doing. I guess it'd be interesting, probably. It's never dawned on me to try to go to all the national parks. I feel like I'd rather go to... Actually, this is a question for you guys. Would you rather go to all the baseball stadiums or all the national parks? Colin says, can we bet on the duck fights?
If you can keep track of which duck is which.
Colin, what are you willing to wager? And who are you betting on? I feel like we've only got 3 of the ducks named.
Yeah.
We've got Becky and Sarah, and we got Carla down here. And I guess we have turkey duck. Quiet says, Eglin Air Force Base is near Fort Walton Beach. Okay. Or Edgeland. Quiet was stationed near Pensacola Naval Air Station. Okay. I forgot you were in the Navy. You were in the Navy, right, Quiet? As opposed to the Army. Nicholas says, Mrs. Land, would you rather make teddy bears or candy bars?
I probably would rather make candy bars because I like eating candy bars.
Making candy bars. See, the one thing I'd push back on is you make a candy bar,
yeah.
Within like 10 minutes somebody's eaten it and it's gone.
So?
You make a teddy bear, that's like for life.
So?
Okay, well, I might go for.
My stomach's happy.
That's true. I might go for the teddy bear.
Okay.
But the questions are Mrs. Land, so the answer is candy bars. Have you ever made a candy bar?
No.
We did.
One of the hard things to make.
We did have. There's a restaurant in D.C. That's a very upscale. It's actually right across from the Trump Hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue. You've been there.
Oh, okay.
Central.
Yeah.
And one of their signature desserts is a homemade candy bar. Ooh. You remember that? You had it. It was like a homemade Twix.
Oh, we did have it. Yeah, you're right.
That was really good. I don't really know how to make candy bars myself, though. Quiet was in the Air Force. Quiet, what did you fly? What vehicle did you fly? So like a flying tank.
I couldn't resist.
Flying aircraft carrier.
What else do you fly except for planes?
Aircraft carrier. Carla, easy money. Yeah, Carla would definitely be easy money in a fight. Yeah. I think that's right, Colin. Although I think the odds would be pretty low on Carla. Like you'd probably get. It would be like that Kentucky Derby odds, the 3-2 odds on that horse the other day.
Who lost?
Who lost? Yeah, she lost, or he lost. The favorite in the Kentucky Derby lost down the home stretch. Like ran a perfect race and then had the chance to take the lead and just blew it on the final stretch. Sorry to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it, but very disappointing. All the bettors who bet on that. Mrs. Land and I did hypothetical betting, and we both lost money. Although I think you lost less money than I did.
I lost less money. Yeah,
Mrs. Land's better than I am. Yeah, Carla would definitely be easy money, I think.
Just not very much money.
Yeah, probably not a lot of money. Be hard to keep track of, though. Carla by a mile. Yep. For sure. Nicholas says I sleep with a teddy bear.
What a coincidence. I do too.
I have nothing against sleeping with teddy bears. I think everybody should have a teddy bear.
Yeah.
What was your favorite stuffed animal as a kid? Mine was a hippopotamus. Had like this big barrel body. You could sort of like hang on to. It was that was a good stuffed animal. Still exists. Holds down the fort in my childhood bedroom. Very patiently. Quite says I wanted to fly, but my eyes weren't perfect, so they threw me into Intel instead. What vision do you have to have for flying in the military, Quiet? So you're in Intel. Okay, yeah. I think you told me that before. Nicholas says, Land, would you rather win the Powerball or win in casino? Well, it kind of depends. I mean, the Powerball jackpot's going to be a huge amount of money. I don't really play the lottery. I have played casino games.
Yeah, it's not specified how much money you can win at a casino, right?
It's true, but you're not going to win by as many orders of magnitude relative to what you put in.
True.
So I guess I'd rather win the Powerball, although the payouts sometimes are kind of BS because they try to pay them out in like installments as opposed to sort of a major one-time windfall. You take a big loss if you do the windfall. Joe is here. Hey Joe, how's it going? Joe, did you just join us or have you been on the whole time? And how's the buffering doing tonight, Joe? Joe said, Dad didn't fly, he designed the engines for the planes. Oh wow, so Joe's dad was in the military, I think in the 60s and 70s. Domestic. But that sounds like a pretty sophisticated job. Sounds like, I don't know, who does that now? Lockheed Martin, Boeing, all those kinds of companies now. But yeah, welcome, Joe. Thanks for stopping by. Hal says, I encourage hypothetical betting. The real thing can get you into trouble. Yeah. Yeah, you ought to be careful with betting. We do have a casino channel in the bots. There's a casino bot.
Hypothetical betting with hypothetical money.
Mrs. Landon and I have been playing a lot of blackjack the last few days on the casino bot. And I can't say we've been doing that well on the casino bot. Casino bot's tough. You can also bet horse racing with the casino bot. Colin, I will bet you in horse racing on the casino bot if you want to. At the time, they required perfect eyesight, like perfect as in 2020, because I know you can have better than perfect eyesight. In fact, that's the same thing with baseball. Actually, I was reading a lot of baseball players have eyesight like 2010 vision or 2012 vision. Like some of those sports have that really acute style of play. You have to have like really, really, really awesome vision. Just as was on smart TV for a bit, now Sal, no buffering. That's a good sign that the buffering is improving. At least it sounds like we've had nobody complaining about the buffering today. So hopefully that means things are headed in the right direction. But if anybody does have buffering, let us know. You know, not that we can necessarily do anything about it, but it is good to sort of keep tabs on it. Hey, Different, how's it going? Different's with us now. Different, you came like just in time for the darkness. We had light. We had a lot of duck fighting. We've had some duck mating, we think, or at least duck fighting about mating, maybe.
We don't know that for sure.
We have a mod now. Quiet has volunteered to mod the channel. I don't think it should change anything really about the experience, but I think it'll help us be able to sort of do, help market the channel and, in case anything comes up, just have that voice in here. I think is important. So, don't worry too much about it. It's all for the best. Just this real cool part is one of the F-Series planes that he designed the engine for was retired. When they retired it, they sent him the blueprints. So proud to see his name on them. Yeah, I bet that is really cool, Joe. That's a hell of a way to have a stamp on, however many wars those have been fought in and however much, those have been used to sort of quote unquote fight for freedom. That's cool. I hope somewhere there's like I don't know. I guess we do like memorials, so many different memorials for all the wars and stuff. I feel like we need just like memorials for people who have served in the military, just generically. Yeah, Different says hello. Hey, Different. Because I accept your challenge to remind me tomorrow. I may fall asleep. Okay. Fair enough, Colin. It's late there, I know, but you're always up late. Just as quite a great mod. Quiet is a great mod. He comes with wonderful experience. Yeah, Quiet is a Quiet Castle or Quiet. I never asked Quiet Castle. How did you pick your username? We were wondering about that. What is the Quiet Castle? But yeah, Quiet Castle I think comes from he's a mod on one of the bigger channels out there. So is sort of we've got to figure out how to like sort of use big channel mod experience to sort of mod our smaller channel here. But hopefully we'll continue to grow with everybody's help. Nicholas says Wilfred is the last letter in hurricane names to use. Why can't they use?
Why?
They can't use Y? I feel like that might lead to like an Abbott and Costello skit though. Hurricane Y.
Well, they'd have to come up with a Y name, right?
Yeah, Hurricane Yolonzo or something. Yvonne, yeah. Yonder.
Yzma.
Yeah, there aren't a lot of Y names. X names.
Xavier,
yeah. Is there anything besides Xavier? Xander? Is that our Z name? I don't know. Z's a tough one too. Those get tough at the end of the alphabet.
Yeah. Xander Bogart?
I don't know. Why do they end the hurricane naming it W? And then what happens after that? You said it was Greek lettering? How does that work? Oh, I guess like Hurricane Alpha, Hurricane Omega, maybe. Okay. Joe says Chicago has a protest and counter-protest. Yeah, it sounded like, so we have protests tonight. It sounds like in New York and Chicago. I'm not sure over what, but it did sound like those are the two places that were kind of going off a little bit tonight. I've not gotten any updates from anybody since that initial news. Obviously, it seems like it's been pretty quiet the last few days around the rest of the country. So, I guess we'll continue to see what these protests bring. Obviously, tomorrow, being the 17th, is the beginning of the quote-unquote siege on Washington. So we'll see how that goes. Whether that ends up amounting to anything or whether that's been all sort of internet bluster. Enter says after Wilfer. What's after Wilfer, Nicholas, or after Wilbur? After Wilfer, after wildfire. Still got wildfires going. Colin, or Quiet, do you have a wildfire update for us? What's going on with the wildfires? Or the forest fires? I don't know, not really wildfires, forest fires. Chicago, if Quiet tells you he will have to kill you. Maybe. Police are standing between two sides in Chicago. So who are the two sides, Joe? If the police are usually one of the sides. Who are the two sides this time? Is it just right and left? Like Proud Boys, Antifa type stuff? Quiet says, I love history and castles, and I was watching a documentary on TV and it was so quiet. As the camera passed by each quiet, I thought it would be a good name. So everything else was taken. Everything else? Quiet castles are kind of nice. I had a chance in Europe to spend a night at a castle. That was kind of fun. Family had actually bought the castle and was refurbishing it like it was Downton Abbey. I did try to visit Downton Abbey in the UK when I was there, and that's a hell of a trek from London to get out to Downton Abbey just to take a photo with it. The tours were at that point booked up months to years in advance. So I tried to go out there, but there was really bad flooding at the time from rain, and you couldn't basically go anywhere west of the city. So Windsor Castle you couldn't access. You couldn't get to Downton Abbey. I also wanted to go to Bath, but I wanted to go to Downton Abbey and I didn't. Not that I particularly like that show, but I got family members who. I got one family member who really does. Goodness, it's really getting dark here.
So early now.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we should move to a better light.
We can move to better over there.
Or by the bridge, maybe.
Sure.
Well, let's go over to the ducks over here.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna get better light for you guys for the ducks.
I think I smell it over there too.
I've kind of gotten used to the smell. It smells like, I don't know what that smell is. It's been not a nice smell.
It smells like all the ducks got diarrhea.
They might. You never know what people are feeding the ducks. Oh, but now they're all scattering. Closer to this light, yeah. So we got the light behind us. That'll help you guys have a better view.
Can sit by the tree.
Yeah.
No.
Come on, ducks. Ducks, ducks, ducks. Don't go away. Don't go away, ducks. We got bread for you. Did we push Mrs. Land in? There was a big splash.
No. I'm still here.
People have wondered before if Mrs. Land got eaten by Carla on days when she disappears.
If they did, Carla would be the new Mrs. Land, so she would indeed be there.
That's true. We would always have a Mrs. Land. That's how it works. In fact, the current Mrs. Land got here by eating the previous Mrs.
To clear that up, I am not a cannibal. I did not eat anyone.
You sure you didn't? Did you eaten duck? That'd be
Were you previously married to a duck?
Well, it's like a cycle. You've eaten duck.
I've eaten
and
duck.
the duck eats you.
Yeah.
And then,
Duck is actually one of my favorite foods. So.
Duck is actually surprisingly tasty.
Surprising.
Well, not surprising. It's just very tasty.
Very tasty.
Yeah.
Not you, Carla. We won't eat you.
New York must have calmed down. Don't see that on the live feed list. Okay. So I don't know why New York even would have been popping off tonight. Just says back the blue and Antifa. Okay, so it's okay. Interesting. tons of Back the Blue flags. Is it, Joe? How is the tenor? Are they just arguing with each other, or has there been violence, or what's the story with the two groups? Yeah, we did not push Mrs. Land in, so I don't know. Somebody must have jumped in. You want to come here? No? Or are you standoffish? Are you full?
No, she's never full.
Okay, there you go. I think you're just blind. I think she's just has very poor night vision. Quiet says fires are still raging here in California, but they're starting to get ahead some of the big ones under control, which is great. Oh, Quiet posted a map of the fires. Interesting. Be curious to check that out.
Yeah.
Well, glad to hear it's starting to get under control. Joe has been dutifully tracking, I guess, some of the sources of the fires on the Discord. I have not had time to fully read up on all of it, though. Colin says, quick ducks run before they eat you. Colin, you know us well enough by now to know we aren't going to eat these ducks. We'll eat different ducks.
That's true.
I mean, I'm sure Carla looks like she would be very tasty.
She would probably be very tasty.
Like, she's got a lot of
fat on there.
Yeah. Not to... You're a beautiful duck, Carla.
You say to your future wife.
Well, she's a beautiful duck. I think she's very pretty. A little bit of a bully sometimes, but yeah, look at that. She's very, very aggressive sometimes.
She's very soft. She'd be lovely to cuddle with.
She's sort of the strangest duck to be this aggressive because she is very, very, very soft and very, could be very cuddly, but she's really aggressive and gets very bitey. Joe says they were. Police, of course, had their backs to the Back the Blue crowds. Lots of finger pointing and yelling. I guess that would be a very literal protest then. If the police have their backs to the Back the Blue, I guess then they're literally behind the blue, which means they're backing the blue. It's funny how that works. Although in a lot of cities, the police wear black, not blue. Colin says, pan round to Mrs. Land. I bet she's got a fork and a knife.
No. Colin, I would never do that.
Joe says the police have slowly pushed each group further away from each other. I think they're getting good at this. I think that's also true in Washington. I think that was sort of my observation a few weeks ago, that and part of why I don't think this so-called siege is going to probably amount to a whole lot there, is that I think when this all started, it was a surprise to everyone, and some of these communities that have been hit maybe once have really struggled with it. But I think some of the larger cities especially have gotten, over time, just really, really gotten better at dealing with the situation, or at least sort of more, sort of learned how to deal with this kind of situation more. In DC, they really, really had the kind of main protest area on lockdown when we stopped by. Enough that, as I was walking through there at night, they were telling us to get the hell out of there. And there were lots of flashing lights and sirens, and it was not the kind of, it sort of used to be kind of a do whatever you want zone. And it's not that anymore. I mean, they've really got that thing locked down. So I would think some of the other ones are, some of the other cities are figuring that as well. Inter says we're live on RP Nation. Who's RP Nation? I'm not sure. Is that a I guess a multi-streamer or a live streamer of some kind? Well, anyway, if you guys are on RP Nation, welcome. The internet, are they giving us attribution over there? That's kind of the only thing I care about. I love getting picked up on by the multi-streamers, as long as they give us some attribution. Joe says the police have slowly pushed each group further away from each other. Actually getting good. Okay, yeah. I read that one. Oh, wow. Chicago has mounted police. I didn't know that. Very beautiful horses. We saw some of the horses in D.C. I think we had a whole stream where we kind of, well, not a whole stream, but a part of a stream where we were hanging out with the horses. That was kind of fun. But yeah, it's sort of fun to see a horse in the middle of the city.
They definitely have horses here too, mounted.
Yeah, I feel like every city has a few. It's always a little surreal. You see them like in the middle of a downtown. It's like, that doesn't belong here.
They're very regal.
They're very regal. Never seen them have to like get into a big fight though.
I don't see them getting into a chase. I think that would be fun.
Like a high-speed horse chase. You see how many like if you get like you can test out the theory of horsepower. If you get
what is the definition of horsepower?
If you put like a sled behind 290 horsepower,
yeah.
Could you compete with like a Honda Civic?
Maybe.
Or would you be faster than a Honda Civic?
Is one horse the equivalent of 1 horsepower?
I assume that's the premise. I don't know. Does anybody know? You guys are being a little noisy over here. Just says he's kind of a weird multi-streamer. Okay. I just popped in. I don't think the guy who monitors the stream is talking tonight. Okay. What's his shtick, internet? Why is he weird? Colin says, Leader Duck stream. My head's sore. I'll be back tomorrow. Okay, thanks, Colin.
Thanks for stopping by, Colin.
Yeah, sorry to hear your head is sore. By the way, guys, it's getting like cold enough that you're not going to see as much of Land's legs. I'm going to wear pants recently. So I've got Carla up against my leg, but I got pants on now.
She's still very soft.
Yeah, she's still very soft, but Land's legs will be out next summer, I guess. Yeah, Joe's giving Colin a carrot. Different, says Night Colin. Yeah, thanks, different. Quiet, says bye, Colin. He has like 20 streams up. Didn't see yours, but all are attributed. Okay, awesome. Thanks, different, for checking on that. Back in the early days of the protests, our duck days seemed to get picked up a lot. And then you always have like 6 streams up, one of which was ducks, and people found that very perplexing. The others are all, people chanting and marching, and we got ducks. But it was protest therapy, I suppose. People seem to like it. Joe says, great sleeping with the window open weather. Oh, not for me, Joe. This is too cold for me. Hey. You're just going... You guys never go for the bread that's in my fingers. You go for the bread that's in my hand.
It's a bigger piece?
It's a bigger piece, yeah. You always go for the bigger pieces. Quacker says, Joe, I love doing that, but we haven't been able to in California for a long time. Oh, yeah, I bet with the fires. You really can't. T. Hey, T. How's it going? Looks like the male mallards are in eclipse plumage. You mean for the green heads, T? I thought that was just because they're in sort of mating season here in September, that they kind of... September is the second round of mating for them of the year. Why are you biting my fingers so much? Oh, you just took that. Oh, now you're still okay, you're still just biting my fingers now. I don't have any bread left. You're biting my fingers. I'll get you sound like a horse. Horse stuck over here. Red 5 Golf Gunner does not like Black Lives Matter. Well, hello, Red 5 Golf Gunner. Yeah, T knows his ducks. Well, thanks for joining us, T. Good to see you. Are you a first-timer with us? And I guess same for Red 5. Are you a first-timer? And Elizabeth Maddox, what are your thoughts on a planned event tomorrow? Elizabeth, hey, good to see you too. Let me read Joe's comment, and then I'll answer you, Elizabeth. Joe says, since more and more live streamers are out there streaming, they would yell a lot about wanting credit for the stream, so it is odd to find a restreamer that doesn't give credit. Now, that's good. Especially if the restreamers are going to be making money on other people's content. I think it's always fair to those of us that are out there doing the real field work on some of this stuff. Uh-oh, we got some dogs that are going to scare away the ducks here. It's not good. People with the dogs are very obnoxious to the ducks. Elizabeth, thoughts on the planned event tomorrow? Yeah, T, Elizabeth, Red 5, curious your reactions if you guys have just stumbled in here for the first time. We do a mix of protests. We do ducks. We're usually based in Washington. We kind of mix it up. We started out doing live protests, and then we started doing the reflecting pool ducks as sort of therapy, as kind of an alternate to that. And we do a little bit of a mix now, although the protests have quieted down a lot more, so we don't do as much of that now. But let us know what you like and what you don't like. We're on kind of every day, so feel free to subscribe and like and all that kind of stuff, because we'll be back out if you enjoy it. Yeah, so the thoughts on the planned event tomorrow. So tomorrow is the planned siege of Washington. There have been a lot of multi-streamers, or a lot of streamers, a lot of folks in a lot of these sort of very active groups talking about kind of joining forces in DC tomorrow for this kind of 50-day barrage on the city. I guess, everybody's been all over the country the last few weeks and months is going to try to get together in DC, and depending on who you listen to, the extent of what's planned is bigger or smaller, but there's a lot of language about sort of trying to make a run on the White House and siege things, and it depends how big the crowds are. Obviously, DC was a big epicenter of some very violent activity the first few nights of all this, when the White House really did get more or less sort of pressed on by some pretty violent groups. And but I think what's happened since then is that the 4 police forces of Washington, the Secret Service Police, the U.S. Park Police, the Metropolitan Police of Washington, and the U.S. Capitol Police have kind of figured out collectively how to better deal with the the large masses of people. I mean, DC's police forces are are notoriously legendary for dealing with large groups of people. They deal with million-person marches all the time. The inauguration, the Women's March, these large abortion marches, the March for Our Lives, the anti-gun stuff. So DC's pretty prepared for large events. I think what was different about them is that they were, in the vicinity of the White House, and it was large groups of people with very little fencing and things like that. So Elizabeth, I think what we've seen over time in DC is that the police have just gotten better at kind of being able to handle those crowds. When we stopped by the kind of main protest area a number of nights ago, and it had really actually changed a lot even since July. That basically they've really got it on lockdown now. There's a lot bigger police presence. There's a lot of flashing lights. There are a lot of a lot more cops in a lot more strategic positions. So if the idea was to assault the White House, I would be very surprised if they make a whole lot of traction on that. I think after those first couple nights, once the police forces of DC sort of got it figured out, it was very, very hard for any of those groups to do anything nefarious. They were still allowed to protest in the Black Lives Matter zone, and continued doing so for a long time. When we were there a week or two ago, though, there was nobody there at night because it was on such lockdown. Now, if they go elsewhere in the city, if they sort of distribute into the downtown, if they go to sort of other parks or more into the suburbs or places like that, the police are going to have to scramble more, so that might be more effective at disrupting things. But I just can't imagine it'll really be as big as people are talking about. It's really going to, I think, anybody who's sort of used to the kind of hands-off police approach of other cities, that will not be the case in Washington by any stretch. And if they need to call in the National Guard or active duty military, it'll happen in a second. Joe says, quiet, I never hit that like or dislike until I finish watching, while I click accordingly. So Joe waits to give us a grade until the end. Fair enough, Joe. That's fair enough. Now, if you guys dislike, though, please tell me why. Please tell us what you think we're doing wrong. We know we can't please everybody all the time, but we do our best to please as many people as we can most of the time, and really appreciate you guys bearing with us in our efforts to do that. We've been feeling this out over the last 3 months. We're pretty new streamers generally, so we're feeling this out as we go, and we do appreciate you guys kind of hanging with us and helping us grow this, by the way. So feel free to join the Discord, which is linked in the description, or the Duck Fund that Quiet's posted about a couple times. We got ways to engage with us. Yeah, Elizabeth, I don't know if that helps or not, but yeah, thanks for hanging with us. If you got other things we can talk about, please let us know. Curious why you're asking, Elizabeth. Different says, rude, I hit like first thing if I remember. Thanks, Different. That's another good strategy. We appreciate that too. we've been getting these 2 dislikes right out of the gate every day, it seems like. And that has kind of hampered us a little bit. I don't know, not really hampered us. It's just been sort of odd to kind of have that happening day after day. I don't know who has the vendetta against us. But I wish they would talk to us and tell us why they're doing it. Darren says that's funny. Joe says I have hit like every time I've watched except for one single time. Okay, Joe, I know which time that was. We've heard the feedback loud and clear. So we'll do our best to keep accommodating everybody. T says, do you think federal authorities arrested the organizers of the earlier violent DC riots? There have not been big crowds there since July. So T, I think what happened is that early on, there was this confluence of people who were, there for very, very good, good intentions. People that really wanted to sort of protest, what they perceived as a sort of egregious situation. And they were sort of joined by, some organized bad actors from groups like Antifa and whatnot. And they were also joined by a lot of opportunists that became very violent late at night. People that were there just to sort of take advantage of a very volatile opportunity. And, there's probably overlap between all 3 of those groups. The first group, which was sort of the people coming up in the tens of thousands to protest the death of George Floyd, were sort of provided cover for the other 2 more nefarious groups. And I think what's happened over time is that just fewer and fewer people from that initial group, the sort of organic energy of the initial protests, have come out. I think they got the point across. A lot of them kept coming out for a few weeks. But I think now that has more or less run its course. And what's left are sort of the organized, often bad actors. Not that there aren't people that still come out and protest good things as well. But there are a lot of organized bad actors out there. And when it's a smaller group like that, it's sort of easier to identify those folks. And it's easier for a police presence that has sort of seen it before and is used to dealing with the large crowds to be able to deal with it. I think the other thing that happened is, maybe some of the people were arrested who were responsible for a lot of the bad activities. My sense was in the early days, though, a lot of what went down was actually not, super organized people doing things. It was a lot of the opportunists that were doing the looting. And I don't know that, that taking them out of the mix as individuals was really going to change things all that much. It was, important for the sake of the businesses and the, sort of general justice in the situation for that to happen. But I just think a lot of those folks aren't coming out anymore. So that's part of it as well. So Quiet has just posted a link to the Discord. Okay. Thanks, Quiet. Just as I'm very vocal land, I am certain you know which stream I dislike since it was only one. Yes, we're aware, Joe. We know. So we'll keep doing our best to try to please everybody. James says bird is the word. Hey, James. Thanks for joining us. Good to see you. I'm curious, for the folks who are sort of joining us for the first time, I'd be curious to sort of know what's bringing you here and sort of where you're coming to us from, and are you joining us from another multi-stream, or kind of where you're getting, what brought you to us, and sort of, just hello, everybody. The word is good. The bird word is good. Mrs. Land is checking the baseball scores here.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Did I distract you?
No, you're good.
I just wanted to look at it myself.
Different says, I've heard a YouTube algorithm gives dislikes for some reason. Really? Now, I have heard that actually YouTube's algorithm treats likes and dislikes equally. So any engagement of that sort is good, is positive feedback for our stream. That is just the engagement at all is what's really important. Elizabeth has heard conflicting things, just as we said. Yeah, I mean, it seems like every one of these groups, some of the people they're streaming from different groups have really want to sort of seem like they're doing a lot of stuff. So I don't know that there actually really is that concerted an effort. I have not sort of dug deep on Twitter to know what's really going to go down. There are some Twitter accounts that really, really sort of pointedly track some of the activity in DC. And I haven't tracked them. I haven't checked those in a while. Probably tomorrow night we will, just to sort of track that as it happens. We won't be in the middle of any of that tomorrow night, but we will be tracking it. And I'm curious, as you are, Elizabeth, to sort of see, what's real and what's not, and if it's big or if it's not. I mean, I have a vested interest. I live in downtown DC. We got a place there, so we would of course prefer that things didn't become violent and whatnot, as I think anybody would, but certainly we have a vested interest in it. So we don't want to see things go a bad direction. Joe says there were some that were stopped on their way to D.C. in Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania ain't playing. They have $1 million bond. Wow, okay. I'm always really amazed at the police work that allows them to sort of catch people on the highway who are on their way to D.C. There have been a few other incidents that have happened like that. I think there was an incident where somebody was like going to go attempt to shoot someone in D.C. and they like caught them on the West Virginia highway just from like their Facebook post or something. Really, I mean, just really incredible police work. But the fact that it sounds like the authorities know about it, but they're also preparing for people. And it sounds like people are coming in from Pennsylvania. That could be a big group. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands or thousands or hundreds or millions it might be. If anybody has any other insights, let me know. Mundane says, first time coming from live on media, Twitch stream, just came out of curiosity, like and sub. Thanks, Mundane. Really good to see you. I'm not familiar with live on media. But I guess if they're streaming us and it sounds like people are finding us, that means we must be attributed there, so I appreciate that. So we got ducks. We do a mix of ducks and protests, so we got ducks today. So hopefully you guys enjoy the ducks here. Joe says, thanks, Mundane. Welcome. Yeah, thanks, Joe. Mundane says, thank you. T says, do you think they're dumb enough to actually bum rush the White House? So T, they did before. I mean, back in May, that was part of the issue the first couple nights, is they had very, very small kind of tourist grade rope line type fencing up around the White House grounds, around Lafayette Square. And they had tens and thousands of people that, showed up and became very, very, very angry very quickly as a collective. And they did break through those rope lines and, basically sort of rush the Secret Service police to the point where they had to cede positions and were on the verge of kind of, preparing for an actual rush on the White House. That's why they turned the lights off, rushed Trump in the bunker. It's happened before. Now that there is more police, the fencing is better. They're better prepared for it. It depends how many people, but I would be surprised, T, if that happens. I don't think it would be very prudent for anybody involved. And frankly, if they were able to get past the officers of the Secret Service police outside the White House, what would happen at that point is, the last line of defense is that snipers on the roof would be shooting them. So it's not going to turn out well if people really try to rush the White House, unless they're really willing to sacrifice a lot of lives. Elizabeth said the ducks are beautiful. Well, they were a little hungrier before. Carla is this white duck over here in the middle. And when she's hungry, she's really aggressive. And when she's not hungry, she kind of ignores us. She plays hard to get. Then we have, what happened to Becky and Sarah?
I think they're sleeping somewhere.
Okay, Becky and Sarah are sleeping somewhere. And then we have a whole, okay, they're over there actually. Yeah, they wanted some alone time.
Maybe they're mating.
Maybe they're mating, yeah. They need some alone time. Although, clearly the mating doesn't seem to require alone time for some of the rest of them. They're in mating season, so there's some aggression going on in the duck community. Yeah. Duck mating is a little bit aggressive. T says, isn't that also interstate rioting, federal charges? Or plans to riot? I don't know what the charges could be, T. I'm curious about it too. Obviously, they haven't done anything yet. I guess I don't know. Silent Majority says, start finding patriots and forming groups to protect yourselves and cities. Well, thanks for joining us, Silent Majority. I'm guessing you're here for the first time as well, so thanks for joining us. Yeah, quiet is, thanks for welcoming the folks. Good to see all of you. Please feel free to like and subscribe, or, if you want to stick it out for a while and then decide if you want to like or subscribe, that's fine too. T says, isn't that also interstate rioting? Yep. Oh, what are they doing?
Squawking.
They're squawking. Why did they all go that way? Joe says the ones in Pennsylvania were in the Pennsylvania protest, just got involved on their way to D.C. Have not heard us. Well, that's a hell of a thing. You're just on your way to D.C. to siege the city, and there just happens to be a protest in Lancaster along the way. I guess it's convenient. You have not heard a story yet about catching on the freeway, other than Portland for starting a fire. Interesting. Well, I hope people are not going. I can't imagine why you'd go there except for malicious intent. I mean, if anybody has any other explanations here, I mean, it sounds like people are, there's this sort of class of people that are doing this now as sort of recreational violence, and that's not right. I mean, I get that at the beginning there, there's a lot of passion on some of the issues, and there are a lot of people that were out peacefully protesting and making voices heard and trying to sway policy and things like that. But at this point, after 100 and something days, people are going around just for the sake of violence. That's not okay. T says, I remember that. Yeah, I can't remember quite all the details on that one. The West Virginia guy. Joe says, silent already completed in the neighborhood. Many here are armed and stocked up on ammo. Close, small community. The most recent neighbor has been in 14 years. So in Joe's community, people have like ammo and everything. That's, well, I mean, I want people to be able to protect themselves. I also don't want to see big violent clashes in the streets. I mean, I don't think that's good for anybody. So hopefully we can avoid that. Where that has happened, it has been not good situations for anyone involved. Jaws is joining us. Hey, Jaws. Mrs. with you. Mrs. Land is here, Jaws.
Hi, Jaws.
Mrs. Land says hi. Jaws fell asleep last night 6 minutes before I logged on, so we didn't get to do more slam poetry last night. But Jaws, if you're around tonight, we might be around. So give us a little more patience when you're going to go to bed. But welcome, Jaws. Joe says, hey, Jaws. That is what happened in Kenosha, 2 people on their way to D.C. Boy. Well, I'm curious. Okay. Oh, Osama bin Laden has joined us on the stream.
What?
Osama bin Laden has joined us on the stream. You should get used to it. Should get used to what? Like violence? I guess that is something Osama bin Laden would say. I didn't even know he was still alive.
It's live on YouTube.
Osama, what's the deal? Like, I thought you got killed in 2011. I guess, how's it going? I don't know. How friendly should I be to Osama bin Laden? Probably not that friendly. And it says, the silence on violence from Democratic politicians unforgivable is going to be a red wave in Congress. Well, we brought this up earlier. Right now, most of the polling continues to suggest a Democratic win in Congress this fall, as well as, probably a Biden win at the presidency. There was, for the first time since February, a major reputable national poll, a Rasmussen poll that came out today, that actually showed Trump nationally ahead by a point, 47 to 46. There have been hundreds of polls that have shown Biden up by a lot, and it's a big outlier among the other polls right now for that to be showing that way. Very surprising. But there was also a YouGov poll that came out today that showed a 9-point margin, so who knows. But I thought it was interesting. But I mean, right now the numbers aren't showing a red wave in Congress, but it could still happen, I suppose. Joe says, "What a name! Nice. Can we call you UBM for short?" Okay. Osama bin Laden says violence. The margin of error for the national poll. I can't remember the Rasmussen one. There was one that came out that showed, I think, a 4 or 5 point margin that had a 1.6 margin of error. Usually the margins of error are around 2 or 3 or 4 points. Margin of error is a statistical treatment. It's a sort of percentile within which you can assume confidence in the poll's outcome. It's not like a hard and fast number. Usually it's based on a 95% confidence interval. And I don't want to get too wonky about statistics here because people probably aren't here for that. But clearly polls are showing sort of wide variation beyond, what their margin of error suggests the variability could be. So who knows? Who knows really right now? Difference is, read Osama's full name aloud, please. Osama bin Muhammad bin Awad bin Laden, PhD. Who are you voting for? Osama, I probably won't vote. I live in Washington, D.C., and Washington, D.C. goes pretty much one direction, so it's not really worth my time or the energy to go vote, but that's my decision. We try to keep it pretty even-handed here in terms of our presentation of things, but you guys are certainly free to have your opinions. Joe is laughing. Does Osama bin Laden really care about the outcomes of elections, though? I don't know. Inspector. Hey, Inspector. How's it going? Inspector's given us a question mark. Well, I hope you're doing well, Inspector. Different says thank you. Different, why did you want me to read the name aloud?
Hey, Carla.
Hey, Carla.
She's still hanging on.
Okay, Osama says he does care about the outcomes of elections. You wanna come here? Different says I don't know why, but I liked it. I feel like the PhD, I feel like people recognize Osama bin Laden without the need to throw a PhD on the end of the name for credibility. Internet says, I really wish you could vote. Local elections are very important. You know, I'm a bad local, I pay more attention to the local elections in cities I used to live in, like here in Ohio, than I do the DCs. I used to pay more attention to my aldermen in Chicago. You know, I think that's one of the points we often sort of miss in the big national elections. She's got very bad night vision.
Do you want to put a little bit on my hand? I have nothing.
Oh, sorry.
I was just offering her a bare
Carla.
hand.
Okay, well, she's got bad night vision either way.
Sorry, Carla.
We kind of take for granted, you know, the national election really doesn't affect a lot of us all that much. The local elections, in many respects, are much more important. So I would encourage people to be engaged locally, as well as, you know, it's easy to get sort of caught up in the national news cycle, but the local stuff is sometimes more important.
Who's the horse?
Yeah, we got these couple ducks here that sound like horses.
I think it's the one
Not sure
in the
what their
back.
deal is.
This guy right here. This
On the
gal.
back? Yeah, we got a horse duck here. Yeah, you're a horse. You're an imposter. Equestrian duck.
Yeah.
Inspector's giving us eyes now. Hey, Inspector. You want some? Oh. You're like all wet. Why are you so wet? Crisis Internet, that's a good point. City, county, and state elections are important, very important as well. Yeah, they are. Inspector says we have mods now. Inspector, we do have a mod. As we continue to mature as a channel, we're just trying to build the infrastructure of what a mature channel has. You know, we don't really have any intent to, you know, change the nature of the discussion. But, you know, I think for the purposes of marketing and the purposes of just sort of managing the conversation, it's a useful thing for us to have now, and Quiet has generously volunteered to sort of play that role and has experience doing it on some of the larger streams, so we appreciate that. Great castle. Like a grate in the street, or tree grate castle.
Is that what Greed? Oh.
Or Gratz castle?
Congrats.
Oh, congrats castle. I've gotten a lot better over time doing this stream at sort of reading people's spelling errors and figuring out kind of what people mean.
So you say that, but I had to deconstruct that for you.
Well, I was pointing it out as the exception to the rule. I can usually read right through one that has a whole bunch of spelling issues. But I also apologize. Sometimes when it's late at night, it comes up really small on my phone, and especially your names come up really small. So sometimes I misread the names late at night.
Carla.
Joe says, not just local, but if POTUS is a tie, each state gets one vote. That vote is decided by the House members from that state. It would be the new House from the November vote. So state congressional elections, I guess, are what matter. And they do, those are pretty important. Like, you know, Ohio is a pretty 50-50 state, but for a long time our state congressional leadership has been overwhelmingly Republican. Different states have different sort of scenarios like that, but yeah, it's important. Internet says, one of my favorite things to do before the pandemic was go to my local school board meeting and harass the people there. Why were you harassing them, Internet? What were they doing wrong? Internet says, whatever you do not make me a moderator, do not handle authority well. Okay. Fair enough, Internet. We will not do that. Joe, I think I had it up to about 29 at one point tonight, which is good. You know, we're still well short of kind of some of the numbers we were achieving in DC when we had the heart of the protest activity. We were up in the several hundred at various points. But I think as a normal crew, the fact that we're in the 20s is a good sign for us. And we're going to continue to try to grow, and you guys are an important part of that. So, I know we have arguments on here. I know people have arguments on the Discord. That's all good. I appreciate you guys as ambassadors of the stream here, and just sort of encourage everybody to kind of help us grow as part of this, because I value all of your contributions. And it says, whatever you... Oh, yeah, don't make me moderator. Okay, Mundane says, I'm not from the U.S. Expect many more spelling mistakes from me. So, Mundane, where are you from? I'm curious kind of from everybody who's new here, where you guys are from. It's been really interesting sort of seeing some of the folks that have joined us over time here. The school board people. Give us a little bit more context on the school board people. I've dealt with enough public authorities to know that they are difficult sometimes. I wouldn't go so far as to say they're all morons. Quite says welcome. Yeah. Internet says, is the 6th grade spelling bee champ, as the 6th grade spelling champ, I can help you out. I don't know if that was intentional, Internet, or not, but you misspelled a bunch of words there. I assume that was intentional. I don't know if I ever won a spelling bee. I was not very good at spelling bees. Although, despite being... I think it was the pressure, actually, of having to do it verbally. I don't think it was like being a poor speller, but I didn't like the pressure. And they'd always... I don't know, somehow every kid in front of me would get like easy words, and I would get some like random weird word with had like a weird order of the lettering. Like, try being like a 4th grader and trying to say, figure out how many C's and U's are in vacuum. Right on the spot. Inspector says, am I argumentative? Well, not tonight you aren't, Inspector. Mundane says, thank you, but I think I'll pass at Internet God. What did Internet suggest? Okay, I don't know what that was in reference to. I'm losing track of things. Just says, I am in the USA and make tons of spelling mistakes. Well, reminds me of the line in King of the Hill one time where Bobby came home and Hank was sort of exasperated. Bobby, you got an F in English? Bobby, you speak English. Osama says, do you own these ducks? Well, if we have bread, sometimes they act like we do. Carla, you're such bad vision. We need to get Carla glasses. Maybe that's why the other one's wearing goggles.
But the other one's not over here eating bread.
Well, maybe that's because they were wearing the goggles and were smart enough to eat their bread earlier because they were...
I thought it was for the water.
It was for the water. Oh, maybe it's for the water, yeah. You can swim better with the goggles on. So, formally, do we own these ducks? I don't know if anybody owns these ducks. I think these ducks are kind of on their own. Ducks are migratory birds. I don't think it makes a lot of sense to try to hem them in. Mundane says Belgium. Wow, Belgium. Okay, interesting, Mundane. So, Mundane, it's late in Belgium, but what's going on in Belgium? What brings you here from Belgium? That's interesting. We've attracted actually a lot of Europeans to this stream over time. We have a number of folks from the UK, Collins from Scotland. We got a couple of people from Germany, and now we get Belgium. So interesting. I'd be curious to hear your story, Mundane. Inspector says, I feel like I need someone more controversial in this chat now. And I was called out last night. I'm like the sore thumb in the group. That's okay, Inspector. Every night's a new night. Don't worry. But I don't know. We got some folks who are a little controversial from time to time. I don't know if any of them are still on, but different. Say something extreme, says Inspector. Internet says duck slavery was abolished in the United States many years ago. Yeah, Abraham Lincoln actually freed the ducks as part of the Emancipation Proclamation and was going to create a whole separate duck state sometime in 1866, but unfortunately his assassination cut that short. And the ducks are very upset about it, which is why they currently protest in the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool on a continuous basis and have been for 150 years. Inspector wants to say something extreme. Silent Marie says, I'm from New York. I found you through Live Now Media on Twitch. Okay, well, we're glad to have you guys with us. And if any of you guys want to hang with us on a more regular basis, we're happy about that too. Like I said, we do have nights where we do kind of more intense things in DC, and especially over the next couple months with this siege. Oh.
Sorry. Oh, hey Carla.
It says, are you in Discord yet, Inspector? You need you there. Yeah, if you guys can, feel free to join the Discord. The link is in the description. Joe says, the ducks own them, ask Carla. Yeah, that's actually probably the most accurate way of putting it. The ducks do kind of own us. Osama's a pretty good speller, seems like. Osama did have, I think, pretty good Western education. So it doesn't surprise me that he was able to spell vacuum correctly. I think that's how you spell vacuum correctly. I don't know if 4th grade me would have known how to spell vacuum correctly.
Spell vacuum incorrectly.
Yeah, some of those words where spell check automatically corrects it, you'd be like amazed at the things you just sort of have forgotten as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
Like, does the I come first, or does the E come first in weird?
E comes before I.
Yeah.
I before.
But you had to think about it.
I before E except, well, because I was thinking about the I before E except after T, but that doesn't work.
But there are some exceptions.
There's a lot of exceptions.
Yeah, there are a lot of exceptions, except for C.
Except for C, what did I say? After T,
T,
after
yeah.
C.
And it says, are you from upstate New York or communist New York? Inspector says, I tried to join and said it was expired. Inspector, there's a new link if you want to join. And Quiet can post the new link, or somebody can post the new link. Otherwise, but I think the link in the description is current, I believe. Let me know if it's not. So far, the chat has remained mostly peaceful. Yeah, tonight's chat's been pretty peaceful. SJ says KAG. What is KAG? 2020. Hey SJ, thanks for joining us. I don't know what the KAG 2020 says though. Sam Rudy says, Internet God, haha, not New York City. We are prepared to float New York City out to sea. Cuomo has to go. Problem with some of these states like Illinois and New York that have one giant city and then a whole bunch of rural areas have a lot of polarization. Illinois has had that phenomenon a few times where somebody can win just Chicago or just Cook County and then lose every other county in the state and still win the election. Joe says, Inspector, you have to use the link from tonight's stream. If it's an old link, you get on the expired. Or yeah. Sorry guys. Occasionally we've had the expired links, so sorry about that. But let us know if you're getting expiration notices now. Internet says it's kind of a long story, but it has to do with them tearing down my daughter's elementary school and making her go to a different school for 2 years and then come back to that school. So you have like a reason that you actually specifically dislike them. You're not sort of generically calling them morons. So sounds. I don't know. That sounds complicated. The internet. Tore down the school, make her go to a different school for 2 years, then come back to the school. Yeah, sounds complicated. I don't envy you in that situation. Future Tuniker says from BC, Canada here. Thanks for the smoke, America. Yeah, we're probably giving you a lot of forest fire exhaust floating up there. Yeah, but good to see you from Canada. SJ says America says YW. Well, good to see you too, SJ. Thanks for joining us. Mundane says, whatever happens to the U.S. affects the whole world. That's why I'm interested in the elections and the riots in all the states. Well, I guess that's true. What are like the big political issues in Belgium right now? I'm curious. or what's in the news in Belgium generally. But yeah, it's affected us a lot. I'm sure you're getting the downfall or the windfall or whatever the fall from it in Europe. We're silent. I hope we're not silent. I don't know. What does that mean? Future. We shouldn't be silent. If we're silent, let us know. Okay, I'm getting behind here, so I got to catch up. Inspector says, do you feel like public executions would intimidate people from committing crimes? I don't think we should do public executions. Mundane says, weird. The longer I'm here, the more confident I am about my spelling. Well, I will probably be able to figure out what you mean if you misspell things, so don't worry. Join us in the Discord. Quiet has posted the Discord link. Yep. Joe says, future Tuniker, glad the global warming ends at the border. You just got the smoke, not the fire. Smoke is, I don't know. It sounds like the people in California have to have like special air filters. It sounds really unpleasant. Nick says, would you rather eat pizza or pasta? I think we've done that one. I'm definitely partial to pasta. I think you asked me if I'd make pizza or pasta, but I think I'm partial to eating pasta as well. I like pizza, but I'm actually not like a crazy pizza diehard like some people are. So I'm kind of more of a pasta person. It says, trust me, I had a reason. They made a lot of promises to the parents, teachers, and students, none of which came true. Well, that sounds pretty typical. You know, the students and their parents do seem to get left in the lurch. They make these sort of big administrative policy decisions, and then they forget that it's like individual people's livelihoods. So, Inspector says, only you can prevent forest fires. Points in Bear. Sounds like bears can prevent forest fires, though, maybe. Internet says, all right, folks, time for me to go disappoint the wife. I'll see you tomorrow. Wow, okay, Internet. That's... Thanks for tuning in, Internet. Yeah, good night. Yeah, Quiet and Joe say good night. Future says, we aren't immune to the fire. So are you guys having... Are there forest fires in Canada right now? Or is that pretty much just a U.S. phenomenon? Is the climate different? Is the forest clearing different? Versus land, if you had the choice to eat elk or duck, what would you eat? I'm trying to think of when the last time I would have had elk would be. I don't know how good elk is. You know, I've had some really good big game meat. Like ostrich, I was telling people before, is like really, really good. I do really like duck, though, so not sort of... I think elk is kind of gamey, so I'm going to go duck, I guess. But good question. We didn't start the fire. It's been burning since the world's been turning. That's a good song. Catchy song, anyway. Mundane says, politics in Belgium, the biggest mess ever. Belgium equals 106 times smaller than the U.S., and we have governments, so people don't ask me what's going on there. Because nobody in Belgium knows. I once wrote a paper in college, actually, on the Belgian monarchy. I think they have a monarchy. Don't they have like a... Doesn't Belgium still have a king? I don't know why I ended up writing a paper on the King of Belgium. Maybe I'm misremembering that. I can't remember. Quiet says, the U's are silent. Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't catch that. The U's are silent, so all the U's... Free... Free thinker. Ah, I got it. Okay. All right. That one made me think a little bit. I had to like... Again, the stuff comes in like really small fonts here, and I have to like parse that out letter by letter. Free thinker. Interesting. Quiet Castle says, mundane governments. 8 governments. Wow, okay, yeah, in Belgium. Mundane says, could be 7 too. I forgot how many exactly we have. How is that structured then? 7 governments? That seems like a lot. Nick says, would you rather drive a car or motorcycle? I don't like motorcycles, so I'm a car person. Motorcycles are very loud when we stream, and I'm not a big fan of that. They also seem dangerous. So I've never driven a motorcycle, and I'm not super eager to do that. So I'll go with a car, Nicholas. Silent majority says they want you to think it's climate, like the border magically stops forest fires. Those are intentionally set. Well, it sounds like some of them have been arson. You know, I know Joe and some others have been kind of more knee-deep in trying to understand exactly what's going on with forest fires. I've not had the time to really catch up on all that, so I don't really know. And I can't really pick, you know, I can't really play politics in it. And this says, yes, we have a king, but he has no more power. Yeah, I guess that's kind of consistent with my understanding, Mundane. Is that one of the 7 or 8 governments, or is that separate? It's kind of weird to me seeing these European countries with like monarchies that don't really do anything, like, but are sort of still being funded publicly. I'm curious how you guys kind of feel about that. You know, I've always been kind of amazed the UK still does that, and the people aren't like just sort of outraged by it. But when I was in the UK, people seemed to defend it vigorously. So maybe I'm missing something. Aaron says, if we got rid of all communists on the planet, would the ideology be gone for good? No, probably not. I mean, it's a very, very, it's sort of like you know, a bug lamp. It's like, it's sort of so seductive as an ideology in sort of theoretical textbooks that young people seem really drawn to it. So I don't think it would go away. I think it would always rear its head. The best way to, you know, not have communism is to kind of keep having bad examples of it around the world that kind of remind us that, oh yeah, this is a really bad idea. The problem is when it's just a sort of theoretical construct, you know, it's so seductive that people fall for it. Inspector says, if ethno-states existed, would racism still exist? I don't know, but we're not going to do ethno-state conversation, Inspector. Freethinker says, Canada seems to follow America a little too much, like the little brother looking up to a heroin-addicted brother. I was talking about that last night. It's, you know, Canada always seems like Canada's sort of local or the what is it, like the CBC news and sort of the general tenor of their politics is sort of very much told like almost like the country sort of wishes, you know, they kind of wish they were a bigger country. The kids scaring off the ducks here, very obnoxious. You know, Canada has a lot of resources, but I feel like sometimes there's sort of like a wishfulness in the way that the country sort of handles its own politics. Like people sort of wish we were more influential. Joe says, Silent, I went into great detail on our Discord showing that they're intentionally set. Silent says, Joe, I can never figure out how to use Discord. Every time I try, it confuses me. Silent, it would definitely be worth trying it again. If you know, we'd love to have you there, and anybody else too. You know, we'd love to have some more folks on the Discord. So if anybody wants to give it a try, it's a pretty simple app to download. You know, understandable if it doesn't work, but we'd love to see you guys there. It's been a great way for the folks on the stream to bond a little bit. Spectre says the Queen can still declare war. In Europe, I guess, or in the UK, I guess. Probably not in Belgium. Freethinker says, good old silent U's. Must have missed that lesson in school. I must have missed the silent U's. I don't think I was taught about silent U's in school. Mundane says the monarchy is completely separate now, just for show and making economic deals abroad. Okay, interesting. Yeah, well, I'd be curious to get your thoughts on, you know, do you like support the idea of having a monarchy, or is it, or not? Just as if you join the Discord, it is in the protest box. We've got a lot of channels now in the Discord. There's a lot of different tenors of the conversation. We've been trying to sort through, you know, making Discord sort of accessible both to people who want to, you know, kind of be a part of political conversations, and also people who are, you know, kind of more here for just the ducks and kind of want more lighthearted stuff. So we've got a lot of channels there, and most of them are pretty active actually. It's a fun place if you guys want to pop over there. Spectre says it was a hypothetical. My family is multiracial. Not sure why there is fear in discussing stuff. College ethics courses I took had harder questions, but to each their own. Your channel. Shit, so I gotta... I mean, I will say, Inspector, to your kind of point. I mean, obviously, creating a multicultural democracies come with a lot of their own challenges. I mean, you know, creating a shared culture between, you know, multiple sort of multiple cultures, creating kind of a melting pot society comes with a lot of challenges, and America's done a lot of time over the years kind of trying to sort through, how to best do that, and has created the most successful example of a multicultural democracy in the world. Countries that have a sort of heterogeneous, or homogeneous culture, sometimes it is easier to do things in those cultures, and I think, some of the things you see in Japan, or some of the Scandinavian countries or places like that are, much more homogeneous cultures. They kind of keep together a little bit more. There are certainly challenges. I don't think ethnostates would necessarily end racism. In fact, I think they probably exacerbate racism, in as they usually seem to do in practice. Mundane says, I think it's better without the monarchy, King Leopold II. Without the monarchy, okay. But, like, what about just even having the monarchy as a thing? Like, I assume you guys are sort of funding them via taxpayer dollars. His statues and busts are being removed everywhere. Oh, wow, okay, because of how he handled the people of the Congo in Africa, really? So I guess the statue removals are not unique to the United States, it sounds like. Joe says, I'm off for the night. You stay safe. Hitting that thumbs up on my way out. Don't make me regret it. All right, thanks, Joe. We will see you around. But I hope you have a good night. As a mundane, some people in the U.S. are tearing down statues everywhere as well. Yeah, we've had a lot of... That seems to have calmed down a little bit, the statue tearing down trend. A lot of the graffitiing of statues and things like that, really, really unfortunate stuff. Mundane says, yes, we fund them, but the fundings have gone way down the last 20 years. Okay. Well, I assume they still live a pretty comfortable life. It seems a weird thing to me that, like, when a country has poverty, that, that you would still go out of your way to be funding people to live that lavishly. But I guess countries spend their money on all kinds of things, so maybe it's not that big of a deal. But it says, I know about the statue in the States. I don't agree with that. Neither with them taking down in Belgium. Yeah, I mean, it's history. I'm a big history buff. You guys know that. I mean, literally today we just uploaded a video on YouTube. It's a tour of the kind of Capitol Hill area of Washington, D.C. You can see the Capitol building, the Grant Memorial, the Supreme Court, the Library of Congress, a bunch of the other memorials up there. We're big history buffs on this stream. At least I am. And we've been telling a lot of the story of some of the things that have been going on in the country, sort of in the context of the monuments of Washington. It's one of the most interesting things we do. We spent time in the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, the FDR Memorial, the World War II Memorial, the Washington Monuments. We've done some pretty detailed tours, and it definitely adds context. It's really, really helpful, I think, to sort of expand out from just the present moment to kind of get that context and understand it. I agree. I don't want to tear down history. I don't want to live in a sort of ever-present present just because, history had some flaws to it. When they say school children can visit and be taught about the mistakes those people made. Yeah, I agree. Most people are complex. Most people were not perfect people. Most people were not universally good nor universally bad. But a lot of people had a lot of influence, and a lot of influence that sort of in the aggregate ends up being very good. And telling the complexities of those stories, requires some nuance. I think when we boil issues down to just, somebody was good or bad, we get ourselves into a lot of trouble. So I agree with you. School children should be able to be taught about the mistakes people make, as well as the things that people did well, even despite their mistakes. I mean, the idea that we're judging people from 300 years ago on the standards of today on every single little moral issue, like, who knows what the moral issues 300 years in the future are going to be that we judge people on. None of us would want to be judged by those standards in our lifetime. Everybody can't tackle every issue at once. Sometimes people do great things in a lot of areas and maybe didn't do a great thing in another area. Good or bad, it happened. It needs to be learned and remembered. So the bad parts of history aren't repeated. It's quiet. Yep, agree. Very much agree. Mundane says, I have a nice silver coin from the mountains with the 4 presidents. Can't think of the name. Like the Mount Rushmore presidents? Yeah. Silent says, well, I'm off. Thanks for the chat. I will tune in again. Yeah, thanks, Silent. Good to see you. And if you do want to check out the Discord or try it again, let us know, or otherwise maybe we'll see you there sometime. Mundane says Mount Rushmore. Mundane says, see a silent majority. Quiet says, buy it, silent majority. See you again soon. Yeah, thanks, guys. Ducks are just they're very expectant. They always want, you get a lot of patient ducks just kind of sit around waiting for, yeah, I think Carla got full. She kind of is settling down for the night, I think, over there. Not sure how these others are doing. Mundane says, you can't allow things like taking down statues and banning flags. It will keep going and going, only worse. They next repaint the General Lee and the Dukes of Hazzard. Well, one of the things I was pointing out when we were at the Lincoln Memorial, I don't know, about a week and a half ago, is from the backside of the Lincoln Memorial, which, lays out the Gettysburg Address and Lincoln's second inaugural address in it, which are sort of these sort of 2 of the greatest American speeches of all time that sort of happened during and just after the Civil War, that sort of told the story of that struggle that America, had against itself, trying to sort of correct its moral failings and sort of move forward together as a country. From the backside of the Lincoln Memorial, you can actually look out literally across the Potomac River at the estate of Robert E. Lee, which now sits in Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia. It's really something, kind of being in that moment where, these were one country, and then they were 2 countries, and then they were one country once again. And Lincoln is sitting there literally within eyesight of the estate of the lead Confederate general that fought against the United States. After that war, the 2 countries reunited, and now we move forward with shared history together, and that war is part of our history. The idea that you would delete that history, I mean, that is such an incredible struggle. The sort of the toil, the anguish, the thought that went into, all of the elements of that war. I mean, we shouldn't forget about things like that. That's how we've gotten to be a prosperous, fair, equal society. And there are a lot of characters along the way. Constitutions need an occasional rewrite to remain current, much like the church rewrites itself to remain to meet the current state of affairs. You think? The U.S. people are still pretty diehards about the original Constitution. Obviously, we do amendments to it. I mean, the Constitution was written to evolve through that process, which it still does. And that seems to work. I don't know if we'd want to be writing a new Constitution today based on the current political whims. I just don't think there's the sort of foresight. I think we would write it so for the moment and not for the long term if we were to sort of rewrite it. Or even to really, massively edit it. I think having a pretty high bar for changes is important. Whether it's the Constitution or sort of whether it's the limitations of governance. Our horse duck is still hanging out here. Amendments, if needed, but not complete rewrite. Yeah, I can't imagine you wouldn't want. I mean, I don't know that we have the statesmen today to be able to do a meaningful rewrite of the Constitution. I don't see a lot of Thomas Jeffersons out there. I don't see a lot of, Ben Franklins out there that have that sort of wisdom or bring that sort of wisdom to public discourse these days. Freethinker says, would never be able to rewrite anything with the divisiveness the U.S. has. Yeah, I don't think you'd be able to rewrite it. I mean, I think it would be, again, just so momentary. It would be reflective of current political issues. It would be affected by interest groups. It would be, I think it would be a real, I think you'd end up with a bad document if you tried to do that today. When it says the U.S. Constitution is well written, lots of safeguards. Well, you know, I guess the best test of is something well written is, you know, how well does it work in practice? You know, there's a lot of Marxist theory that is maybe well written, but is really, really terrible in practice. The U.S. Constitution seems to have worked thus far. You know, whether it'll continue to endure, I guess we will find out here over the coming years. You want some more? I caught him off guard here. Doesn't Canada also have division between the East and West citizens? Well, I think this is the most important amendment is the second. Since we started doing this stream, I've actually been surprised at sort of how, I mean, people really, really, really are, a lot of diehards in the Second Amendment. Never give up your guns, yeah. That's an issue I've always been a little bit more moderate on. But you know, we've got a lot of folks I think who are regulars here who are really, really, really pro guns and pro, you know, pro Second Amendment. Second protects the first. You know, I obviously never hope to see people using guns on each other out in society. I mean, I hope we never have those kinds of situations that arise. I think where they have arisen, even amid these protests and these riots, they've been very unfortunate. Even things like the Kyle Rittenhouse situation, I think, all in all, are just very unfortunate situations. I think the most valuable component of the Second Amendment is just the fact that people have the guns, and you know, that is sort of it's a deterrent. That, you know, there are that many guns sitting out there in the population. That's a deterrent against things. East-West is divided in Canada due to population. And there's the whole French-Canada thing. I mean, that's a pretty big divide, too. Belgium lost, we have no right to have guns. Not even the right to have a knife. Yeah, Europe has kind of gone that way. Less gun crime, I suppose. Freethinker says, but isn't BC very different from, say, Quebec? Yeah, the whole French-Canada thing is still, I mean, it still seems contentious. Not necessarily every day, but, you know, lurking, there's that tension. Freethinker says, second shows the world why the rest of the world doesn't want it. Creates a war on the inside. Well, that's the flip side of it, is that, you know, we do have a lot of gun crime, and, you know, we do have, in this instance, you know, people sort of feel the urge to defend themselves on the streets, and it's their, you know, constitutional right to do so, and then we end up getting incidents like the Kyle Rittenhouse situation, where we have, like, you know, and across the country now we have these sort of violent militias meeting on the streets, and that's not a good thing, I don't think. I don't know what the best way to fix it is, you know, if people don't feel protected otherwise, but like, I do not celebrate any of the violent conflicts in the streets. I don't think those are good for anybody involved. Mundane, can't even have a knife. Wow, I didn't know that. Yeah, I mean, that's been an issue every, you know, when there've been these terrorist attacks in Europe, that, like, you know, there's sort of nobody there to address it for a while. Sometimes the police aren't even armed in Europe. Creates a war on the inside. Yep, less gun crime, kind of true, but they're throwing a lot of grenades. Really? Okay, I didn't know that. I'm curious to hear more about that. You only have a small knife, smaller than the palm of your hand, says Mundane. Wow. Okay, that is a small. What about like a cooking knife? Wow, interesting. The grenades equals drug cartel wars. Okay. Ah, yeah. Well, we've got similar. I mean, not the drug cartels so much, but we have gangs. I mean, I lived in Chicago for a while, and they had done a study that there were more gang members in Chicago than there were people that could fit in the football stadium in Chicago, and that's a pretty dangerous state of affairs. Cooking night, you're not allowed in the streets or in the car. Wow. Okay. So I guess you have to transport that prepackaged, and then it's going to be where it's going to be. It's a hell of a thing. Relying on the government to protect you is scary to me. Or relying on the government to protect you is scary to me. No, I agree. I don't disagree on you on premise. I guess I'm just saying that I don't celebrate at all when we have these violent skirmishes on the street. I think those are unfortunate too. But I certainly agree with the idea that the citizens have a right to defend themselves. I just think the fact that those situations happen at all is unfortunate. I don't want to see marauding bands of militias fighting on our streets. And I'm not much for the sport of, cheering on the different sides of those kinds of conflicts. Mundane says Belgian police are getting worse and worse lately. Yeah, I'd love to hear more about the sort of policing situation over there. We've got this horse duck here that's just an imposter. I don't know what, and it's very wet too. Why do you sound like a horse? And why are you scaring away all your friends? Looks like a lot of the other ducks have settled down for the night. They're starting to, look at all those ducks over there. They're sleeping now. Including Carla is fast asleep over there. They sleep, apparently sometimes ducks sleep with one eye open. Very weird thing they're able to do where they can shut down half of their brain and sleep with one eye open. It's really strange. Quiet says no person in the right mind would want to see conflict or violence, but it happens throughout the world no matter where you live, and it's peace of mind to know you can defend your family. No, I agree with you. I mean, I agree with both points of that. I mean, I think, they always say the best, the best generals are those that hate war. Norman Schwarzkopf was one of the most eloquent speakers about how much, he was the general for the Iraq War in 1991, when the U.S. very successfully annihilated Saddam from Kuwait. And he spoke really, really eloquently about how much he hated war and hated violence, and yet he's a general. That's a really good general to have, is a general that, understands the sobriety of, what that kind of violence means. Mundane says, burglars have more rights than victims in Belgium. Yeah, there's some of that here too. Unfortunate that does happen. Yeah. Lots of people leaving California here for a lot of different reasons. Wildfires right now, but in general, yeah, there's a lot of policy in California that is driving people away. California, for the first time in a long, long, long time as a state, lost population this past year, which is kind of unheard of because California, for so long, they have so many natural advantages. They have such incredible weather. They've got some great cities. They have career centers there that are people that want to chase their dreams, they go there. So, yeah, that happens. I just cannot believe how much you sound like a horse duck. Ben Shapiro is moving. I heard Joe Rogan was moving to Texas. I mean, it's one thing when a conservative commentator moves, but when you sort of actually see it in the data for the state, that's a pretty crazy thing that states are changing, in that way. Some of the elimination of state income tax and things like that in California or in Florida and Texas have really helped those states. taking his business 75 employees with him. Yeah. Where is he going, Mundane? Does he said that? Where is he moving? Nashville. Okay, interesting. Boy, it doesn't really seem like his kind of place, but interesting. I don't really think of him as a Nashville person, but Nashville's an exciting city. A lot of stuff happening in Nashville. A lot of momentum there. Not great bones to the city of Nashville. Really good history of country music there, but the stuff is growing so fast there, just like condo buildings popping up everywhere. Really a rapidly changing place. Quiet says, yeah, the tax and cost of living are really high in California too. Yeah, that's true. And just, regulations on building anything. It's just really expensive to do anything, to open a business, to maintain that business. Cost of living, certainly, in LA, housing costs relative to incomes are like 4 times as high as they would be in Nashville. In LA, you're paying like 12 times a typical income for a typical house, whereas in Nashville, you're paying about 3 times that. And usually the houses are bigger in Nashville. So, I can see why someone would do that from a, financial perspective. I'm not sure from a cultural perspective, I really see that for him. But at any rate, be quiet. Can we do a couple more plugs on the Discord and the Duck Fund here as we start to slowly kind of wind down the stream? We've been hanging out with the ducks. I'm trying to not wake too many of them up, though. It looks like Carla woke up here. Again, this is land speculation on YouTube. We do kind of ducks and protests and combination of the two and other sort of political stuff and elections and other sort of fun banter now and then. We're on kind of every night. Usually we try to come on between 6 and 7:30. And we kind of hang out until it's dark or until we kind of get bored or until people stop watching us, whatever happens. So we've been hanging with the ducks tonight. We'll be back in Washington and, hopefully be seeing some of this siege such as it is over the coming weeks. But if you guys like what you see, please subscribe. We're going to be on most nights around the same time, so we'd love to have some of you guys back. We try to make it very interactive and conversational. We would encourage you to join the Discord if anybody wants to. That's a great place to kind of keep up with this group offline when we're not streaming. But we do appreciate, especially the new folks that are here tonight. It's great seeing you. We hope we'll see you again. Mundane's getting late here. It's very pleasant to be here and meet you all. Keep it up. Yeah, thanks, Mundane. I hope we'll see you back again. We'll try to come on sometimes at hours that are workable for you guys across the pond. So yeah, I'm not sure what else we have to talk about here, but I feel like we're keeping these ducks up. There are a lot of them. I learned a lot about ducks this summer. Never thought the summer of COVID and these like violent protests would be the summer we learn all about ducks. But yeah, I do appreciate the likes and the subscribes on the stream. Those help us out a lot. I guess the likes helped us out. If you don't like it, let us know why, if you feel so inclined. We'd love to know what we're not doing well. And I do appreciate the subscribes. If people want to hang out with us in the future, that helps you guys know when we're on. So in the description, we also have this link. Quiet just posted the link to the Duck Fund, which is a PayPal link if people want to help support the stream with bread and other resources for the ducks. We value that greatly, obviously. They're very hungry. Think very sad Sarah McLachlan music. The ducks are certainly hungry, so we need to keep them fed, and those contributions help out a lot for that. So please feel free to do that. We really appreciate the folks that have in the past. And also the Discord link, like I said, I keep peddling that, but I do encourage people to join that. So we're probably going to kind of wind down here. We've been out a little later than we normally are. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with us. And we will be back on. So any closing thoughts from anybody, let us know. But what are these people yelling about? It's so weird being in a park late at night like this. People just show up and they yell. weirdly. So anyway, not hearing anything else, we're probably going to wrap up here. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, Discord, Duck Farm. You guys know that. And with that, I guess I'm going to kind of sign off here. So thanks so much, everybody, and I hope you all have a good night.
Here, drop this around her and hold it by this. That's gonna fucking break your leg.